Hello YouTube and welcome back to the nation of free to play. I'm Mondstadt and today we have a new version of Spiral Abyss, which means more primos for Snezhnaya, and I will try to help you in getting them all. I will talk about the enemies of this floor 12, the best ways to counter their mechanics, who to play and my F2P tips and tricks, so let's get right into it. So let's have a look at the enemies first. In 12.1 the first half features 4 Thundering Violet manifestations and 1 Gleaming Charged Frost Knight Scion. So fast bursts and Electro, but more details in a bit. On the other side we have 1 Wilderness Hunter, already cringe, and the Maguu Kenki. Oh boy, what a start. In the second chamber we get 3 rune machines, 2 rune drakes and 1 Aeon Blight Drake, so 2 walking and 1 flying robo dragons. And the second half features 3 grounded geoshrooms, 3 hydro shrooms and the Dendro Chicken. And lastly in 12.3 we have a new shield boss that is also in the current version of Stygian Onslaught, battle-hardened precursor secret source matrix of Overseer Network, or in short, the Overseer Network, the ball, whatever you want to call it, so you know what I'm referring to from now on, the ball. We close this Abyss run with an Ictomisaurus Warrior and the Pipilpan Idol, so the Electro Charged Cactus. Alright, what are the blessings? First sight, super contact damage is increased by 200% and stellar contact damage by 75%, and for the second half, Electro charge damage is increased by 200% and lunar charge damage by 75%. So Electro it is, got it. With Snezhnaya, Columbina and Raiden being on banner for this Abyss, no surprises here. Who should you play? Obviously the first half is made for Snezhnaya, so her and Yaemiko are your best options. The other buffed units, Wriothesley, Cyno and Chi-Chi might be useful but not as strong without stellar contact. Still, C6 Beidou, C6 Diona, Escoffier, Fischl, Sucrose, Varessa, Janssen, Skirk, and maybe even Lohan can be good alternatives. When it comes to the enemies, only the new boss in 12.3 actually requires super contact, while the other bosses can be cleared with other strategies as well. For 12.1, Overload or Electro Charge should also be able to get through. The Frost Knight Scion wants you to bring some form of Electro to get rid of its res, but with a strong enough melt or freeze build you could probably brute force it as well. Zebai or Nefer teams are viable as well, and for the second chamber you just want to bring a bow character if you don't have Snezhnaya to shoot down the Blight Drake. Fischl, Diona, Yehoda, Linnea, Goru, I'm sure you can find one that fits your team as well. And for the ball, Cryo and Electro are definitely the easiest way to deal with it, but luckily the Abyss version is more forgiving than the Stygian one, so you need Cryo, so Overload or Nefer Zebai without Cryo is gonna be tricky. However, Skirk or Mel team should still work here as well. For the second half of this Abyss, your strongest team is Lunar Charged. Bina is rerunning, and with her, Nefer and Flins are your elite options. And if you don't have them, Auron, Fischl, Xingqiu, Farina, Yelan, Clorin, Varessa, maybe Novi are all viable workarounds. And while the only pure Electro Charged shield boss is the Cactus in 12.3, you should also be aware of the Wild Hunt enemy in 12.1. Against this one, you definitely want to bring 2 nod-krai units to trigger Ascendant Gleam. You don't need 5 stars for that, so Aino and Yehoda can also work, but it is gonna be way easier this way. The good news is this boss is in 12.1, so you can just use your nod-krai squad, get your stars and then reset Abyss with a different team to finish the other 2 chambers. Against the Dendro Chicken, Electro and or Pyro is advisable, and as I said, the Cactus is the easiest way to deal with Hydro and Electro. You can add other elements as well, of course, and play an over-vape combo with a Pyro carry, for example. Any strong meta team with Electro and Hydro should be able to make its way through this one way or another. With the general advice out of the way, let's have a closer look at every individual chamber. 12.1.1. The Thundering Violet manifestation is no new enemy. It has increased electro resistance and will steal your energy at the start of the fight. The good news is that you actually start with full energy in Abyss and should be able to get out at least 2 to 3 bursts before this boss can steal your energy, so make sure to not waste any time and use your ultimate abilities that can buff your damage dealer. it will then get a white shield. In order to break that white shield, you simply need to deal damage. The elemental type does not matter. If you can't break it in time, you will get your energy back and should be able to finish it off rather quickly. If not, the VIII will get an Electro shield instead, and you need to break that, but you won't get back your energy once you've done so. Against an Electro shield, Pyro, Cryo and Dendro hits are the most efficient. After the VIII is dealt with, you will have to defeat a Gleaming Charged Frost Knight Scion, so this Electro beast from nod-krai. And this one is immune against electro damage in its normal state. However, it will enter the Gloom Veil state, and in this state, its res will go up to 130%. It will lose its electro immunity here as well, even though 170% res is still very high. Also, a progress bar will appear with a max of 150 points, and you need to fill that bar in order to end the Gloom Veil state and get the rest back to normal. And you do so by using electro attacks, applying the element and ideally Lunar hits. However, Lunar is no must, it just speeds up the process a bit. Once the enemy is back in its normal form, use non-electro damage to finish it off. 12-1-2. On the other half, we start out with the Maguu Kenki. And not only will this enemy stall at the start of the fight until it finally manages to get up, but it also has a rather powerful attack and teleports away from you. So, very annoying boss fight, and having a shielder is pretty useful. I also recommend trying to learn its attack patterns so you get an idea of when the boss is about to teleport, because it can get very frustrating if you keep missing out on your most important damage abilities just because of that. Other than that though, it is a rather straightforward enemy, so not too much more to talk about here. And after that boss is dealt with, we are not done. We continue with one Wilderness Hunter. This boss will never be not annoying, but it is what it is, we have to deal with it. By now you're probably familiar with the mechanic, but here is a quick reminder. The boss has basically two HP bars, the normal red one and the grey max HP one. And you need to deplete max HP 1 to actually defeat it. Without nod-krai units, this enemy will enter the grief-stricken state after you've depleted its normal HP bar. In this state, it will only take 65% of the damage you deal, and after 10 seconds, it will heal back up to its max HP. So in practice, you would have to defeat this guy 3 to 4 times without Ascendant Gleam, which is why bringing 2 or more nod-krai units is so essential in this fight. If you are in Ascendant Gleam, none of these things apply, and instead the enemy will directly enter the grief-stricken state, which means you can deplete its max HP bar right away. And also, instead of only 65%, it will take now 90% of the damage you deal, and the entire fight is like 1/3 of the actual HP compared to the other version. Bear in mind, you do not need any 5 stars from nod-krai for this. Ascendant Gleam can be achieved even without lunar reactions. I know and Yahoda or Illua can get you through this as long as you bring some other strong damage dealers. Of course, you can brute force the wild hunt without nod-krai duos, but it will be way more difficult and the DPS requirements are way higher. 12-1. In the second chamber we have 2 very old enemies, 2 Rune Drakes and 1 Aeon Blight Drake. Both machines have higher physical res, but other than that they are just HP sponges. While the Drake is even simpler, the second enemy will fly up in the air, which means most of your attacks will not hit it. In order to get this one back down, you will need to shoot its weak spots at its wings. Doing so will cause it to fall to the ground and it will be paralyzed for a couple of seconds. So the only thing you need to know is that you need to bring an archer. Sandrone's laser beam should also be able to get the job done, but even without her, you have plenty of options to choose from. Bayona, Auron, or Fischl are some Forster options that will also synergize with the super conduct buff. Overall, a very simple chamber, so let's continue. 12-2-2. We start this fight with the Terrace Room, also known as the Dendro Chicken. This bird has 80% Dendro res, but other than that, anything goes. Note that the boss will gain a fury bar that will fill up when hit with Electro and will reduce when hit with Pyro. Once the bar is full, the chicken will run across the arena performing its attack and will be stunned after, while its resistance will be decreased by 25%. And if you use lots of pyro hits instead and the chicken starts burning, it will enter the scorched state instead. So here it will shoot dendro spores, and if you don't destroy them in time, they will turn into floating dendro fungi. We continue this fight with a total of 6 mushrooms, 3 geo and 3 hydro. Both have slightly higher res against their elements, so geo and hydro, plus both have 30% resistance against dendro as well, but that should not stop you from getting rid of them rather quickly. Also, this is a normal geo shroom, so not the annoying dendro shill local legend, no need to worry here. However, all of it sounds more complicated than it is. In short, anything but dendro works pretty well against this boss. Ideally you have some Electro on your team, but even without, I don't see too big of a problem with 12-2 of this Abyss. 12-3-1. Lastly, we have the new boss that is also featured in Stygian Onslaught, the Secret Source Matrix Overseer Network, aka the Ball. This is the Snezhnaya shill boss and is easiest to defeat with Stellar or Superconduct. With its Convergence field, it will gain a Hydro Aura and increased res. Since this boss is a local legend version though, that's not all. With its Suppression field, it will gain high resistance and summon 4 detection devices. And these devices have a Hydro Ward, and you can use Shatter, Melt, Superconduct, Cryo Swirl or Cryo Crystallize to break them. So basically any cryo reaction. You first need to apply Cryo and then remove that frozen aura with one of the said reactions. If all 4 devices are destroyed, the suppression field will be interrupted, the ball will be paralyzed and its res will be reduced. So it is a very similar mechanic to the solitary Suani. The Hydro wards have a 6 unit gauge and the boss has a 36 unit gauge. In either way, using the cryo reaction strategy is probably the best option. Alternatively, you could use Dendro. Nahida's whole skill can mark all 4 devices and the bloom hits will get rid of the 4 devices in no time. Once the ball is paralyzed, its res will be at minus 40%. And you should make the most of that time slot to deplete as much of its HP bar as possible. When it comes to Snezhnaya alternatives, Skirk should be able to brute force this enemy, but you can also bring Fischl instead. Charlotte's Hold E is also good at marking all the devices. Flint's with some cryo will be very strong, Baressa should get it done as well, and even Mavuika Mel should find a way through. So while it is a shill boss, the Abyss version is significantly easier to deal with than the Stygian one. As long as you have some cryo on your team and a way to remove the frozen aura, you should be good to go. And finally, 12-3-2. Here the other shill boss is back, the Cactus. Lunar Charged or Electro Charged are very strong against this enemy, but again, you can bring other elements as well. Before we get to the Pipilpan Idol, there is one Ictrumisaurus warrior waiting, but this one is just here to stall. Nothing special to look out for. So the Cactus has overall normal res, but soon after the fight it will hide under one of its 3 heads. It will shuffle these heads constantly and its res will increase to 135% against everything except Hydro and Electro. It will have a ward of 40% of its HP and your job is to break the correct head. To identify the right head, you can either look out for the Cactus's face, which will be on one of the 3 heads, or you watch out for the yellow aura of the head. The 2 fake heads will have a purple aura, so you can ignore these. Target the true head to get rid of the ward and paralyze the boss. Note that the head will take increased Electro and Lunar Charge damage, which is why this reaction is so useful in this fight. It will also register the Electro Charge damage it took, and the boss will lose HP based on that, while other elements will not give you that benefit. In its paralyzed state, the Cactus will have all of its resistance decreased to minus 90%, so now you can finish it off with any element, not just Electro and Hydro. Again, while I would recommend you to bring both Electro and Hydro, you can also add other elements to the core. Arlecchino or Mavuika Overwave is one good option if you do not have a strong Electro or Hydro carry. Skirk's Elite team can also work despite the lack of shield elements if you manage to freeze the boss and delay its head gain. Of course, Sabai or Nephro can also work, but I would still advise you to bring Cookie or a different Electro unit as a 4th slot. Overall, this Abyss may be a bit harder than the last one, but generally not too bad. While there definitely is some chill, especially in the 3rd chamber, there's still a few workarounds even without Snezhnaya or Columbina. As long as the HP inflation does not get too crazy, brute forcing the bosses is also a viable way to get your 36 stars. Honestly, the most annoying chamber is probably the first one, as the Wild Hunt enemies are just too annoying without nod-krai characters, but still, I hope this video will help you in clearing this spiral abyss. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel, as it really helps me out in creating more content like this, also in Snezhnaya. Plus, if you have any more questions regarding this abyss, feel free to ask me in the comments down below, as I'm always happy to help. And with that, I am done for the day, so thanks again for watching, good luck on your clears, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!